Himachal Pradesh G.K. Brief History of District Kangra. Part 5 Medieval History. Exams Point of View. IMP. For HPAS, Tehsildar and other commission exams. Presented by Commission Corner. Like, share and subscribe. For more such daily updates. It takes a lot of efforts, make it worth by helping us grow. Medieval History of Kangra. Nurpur State. The original capital of Nurpur was Pathankot, which was called Pathan during the reign of Mughals. The clan name Pathaniya was derived from Pathan. According to Vishnu Purana and Brihat Samhita, Audambara was the ancient name of the whole district, probably because of the abundant growth of Udambara tree, Ficus glorata, in the region. The old Hindu name of the Nurpur was Damarai, and its name was changed during the reign of Raja Jagat Singh by Jahangir in the honor of his wife Noor Jahan. The Raja of Nurpur and Pathankot were called as Pundi, or descendant of the Pandavas and Tomar Rajas of Delhi. The coins found in Pathankot are made up of copper, having a square or oblong shape with a temple on one face and an elephant on the other. Besides the temple, are symbols of svastik and dharma, and underneath is a snake. These coins state that Pradesh Thana was the ancient capital of Nurpur. On Dharagasha coins Mahatavasar Jaina Dharagasha Audambaras was written, which means of the great Lord King Dharagasha, Prince of Audambara. These coins were written in Kharasti and Brahmi. During the reign of Shah Jahan, the state was called Mau and Pathan. The Nurpur state was founded by Raja Jetpal, younger brother of Delhi king, in AD 1000. Kailash Pal, 1353, he defeated Tatar Khan, a Mohammedan general who invaded Punjab. He also constructed the irrigation canal from the Ravi to Pathankot. Nagpal, 1397, he received his name from the fact that a snake was born along with him, which was ultimately put into a Baali, well, and is still regarded as the Kulaj, family deity, of the Pathaniya clan. Bakmal, 1513. Islam Shah Sur, son of Sher Shah Sur, constructed Malkot fort during the reign of Bakmal. Sikandar Shah Sur, after being defeated by Humayun in 1555, fled to Shivalik Hills and took refuge at Malkot Fort. He was supported by Bakmal. In AD 1557, Akbar advanced towards the hills, and both Sikandar Shah and Bakmal had to surrender against the mighty forces of Mughals. Sikandar Shah was allowed to retire to Bengal, whereas Bakmal was taken as a prisoner to Lahore, where he was executed in AD 1558 by Bahram Khan. Bakmal was succeeded by his brother Takmal. Bakmal is said to have built the fort of Shahpur on the river Ravi. Expedition against Malkot Fort, 6 miles north Pathankot, at that time was regarded as a call to death. Malki Mohim Yaro Motki Nishani Hai. Pahari Mal or Tak Mal, 1558, he wanted to shift his capital from Pathankot to Damarai, Nurpur, but he died away before he could transfer it. Basdev or Basu, 1580. He shifted his capital from Pathankot to Damarai, which his son Jagat Singh renamed as Nurpur in the honor of Jahangir's wife Noor Jahan in AD 1622. Raja Basu revolted against the Mughals a number of times, and most of these revolts were instigated by Jahangir against his father Akbar. When Raja Basu revolted against Akbar for the first time, Akbar sent Hassan Beg Umri to capture Basu. Before anything could happen, Basu approached the Total Mal for mercy, which was granted. In his second revolt against Akbar, Mirza Rustam and Asif Khan were being sent to capture him, but they refused owing to their old friendship with Raja Basu. Since Jahangir had a good friendship with Raja Basu, he deputed him to capture Khurram, Shah Jahan, in March AD 1606. In A.D.1611, Jahangir sent Raja Basu on the recommendation of Abdullah Khan to capture Rana of Mewar, Udaipur, but he died in 1613 before achieving victory over Rana. Suraj Mal, 1613. In 1615 AD, Jahangir sent his allies Raja Suraj Mal of Nurpur, Damarai, and Sheikh Farid or Murtaza Khan to capture Kangra, but some controversy broke out between the two. The plan to capture Kangra was postponed after the death of Farid Murtaza Khan. Raja Suraj Mal was recalled to Delhi and sent to Deccan to help the Prince Shah Jahan in 1616 AD. Again in the year 1617 AD, Jahangir sent his allies Raja Suraj Mal of Nurpur and Shakuli Khan Muhammad Taqi to capture Kangra. The same story was repeated again as some controversy broke out between Suraj Mal and Shankuli Khan, and as a result, Shankuli Khan was asked by Jahangir to retreat back. Now Raja Suraj Mal started to send away imperial troops to his Jagir and broke out into the rebellion against Mughals. Jahangir sent his able man Rajarayan Sundar Das and Jagat Singh, younger brother of Suraj Mal, who was invited from Bengal to suppress the rebellion and capture Kangra fort. Raja Suraj Mal fled away to Mankot fort, from there to Nurpur fort, and then fled to Taragarh fort in Chamba, where he was killed by Raja Janardana in 1619 AD. Jagat Singh, 1619. Kangra fort came under the Mughals in 1620 AD. Raja Jagat Singh, younger brother of Raja Suraj Mal, helped the Mughals to capture Kangra fort. On November 20, 1620, news of the capture of Kangra fort reached the Jahangir. Jahangir visited Damarai, Nurpur, in 1622 AD and renamed Damarai as Nurpur in the honor of his wife Noorjahan. In AD 1623, Battle of Dalig near Dalhousie was fought between Raja Jagat Singh of Nurpur assisted by Mughal forces and Raja Janardana son of Balbhadra, in which Bishambhar brother of Janardana was killed. Later on, Janardana was killed by deception by Jagat Singh. Bashola was the first state to come under the rule of Jagat Singh. In 1627, when Raja Bhupatpal of Bashola expelled the Nurpur garrison and recovered the state. When Bhupatpal went to Delhi to pay his regards to the emperor, Jagat Singh assassinated. Raja Jagat Singh wanted to establish himself as an undisputed authority and revolted against the Mughals in d. 1640. Shah Jahan sent his youngest son Murad Baksh to suppress the revolt. Jagat Singh had a stronghold over Nurpur, Malkot, and Taragarh, but had to surrender against the mighty Mughals' army. After appearing in the Delhi Darbar, he submitted for the clemency which was granted to him by Shah Jahan and restored his honors. Najabat Khan was appointed Faujdar of the hill country of Kangra. In AD 1642, Jagat Singh accompanying Prince Darashikoh to Kandahar, Afghanistan. In AD 1646, he died at Peshawar on this return journey. During the reign of Raja Jagat Singh, Nurpur state reached the zenith of its prosperity. A poem is written on Raja Jagat Singh, the Rhapsodies of Gambhir Rai the Nurpur Bard in A.D. 1650. Jagat Singh used to address Begum Noor Jahan as Bidi, daughter. Rajrup Singh, 1646. Shah Jahan gave him the title of Raja. He spent the last years of his life in the service of Aurangzeb. In 1650, Shah Jahan gave Ba Singh, younger brother of Rajrup Singh, a portion of Nurpur state because he rendered his services to the Mughals in the campaign in Badakhshan. In 1686 AD, younger son of Raja Jagat Singh, Ba Singh embraced Islam, receiving the name Murid Khan from Emperor Aurangzeb. Mand Hatta, 1661. He was the last Pathaniya Raja to hold office under the Mughal emperors. Prithvi Singh, 1735. In 1770, Jussa Singh Ramgarhia succeeded in making several hill states his tributaries, including the Nurpur. In 1785, Nurpur succeeded in acquiring from Bashola a portion of territory to the west of the river Ravi called Lakhanpur. Singh, 1789. He was the last ruling chief of Nurpur. When Ranjit Singh acquired the Kangra fort from Raja Sansar Chand, he also subjugated other hill states including Nurpur. Ranjit Singh in 1815 called for a military assembly of hill chiefs at Sialkot, which Raja of Nurpur and Jaswan failed to attend. For this, they were fined heavily, and as a result, their territories were subjugated by Ranjit Singh. In 1816, Singh, with the help of Shah Shuja, exiled Amir of Kabul, was plotting against Ranjit Singh, for which he was forced to settle at Arki. In 1826, Singh reached Nurpur and raised a revolt against Sikhs. Ranjit Singh sent Dasa Singh Majithia to suppress the revolt. Singh fled to Chamba, where he married the sister of Raja Charhat Singh. Fearing the consequences of giving refuge, Raja Charhat Singh delivered Singh to Ranjit Singh, and he kept him in confinement for 7 years at Gobindagarh Fort. Later Raja Charhat Singh paid 85,000 rupees for this release to Ranjit Singh. Jaswant Singh, 1846. In 1846, the British captured the Kangra Valley and local chiefs were subdued. Jaswant Singh was conferred a jagir of 5,000 rupees per annum, and Nurpur was merged with Kangra. In 1848, Ram Singh, son of Shyam Singh, the last wazir of Nurpur, took forces from Jammu, crossed Ravi, and captured Shahpur fort and declared Jaswant Singh as Raja of Nurpur and himself as his wazir. British army gave Wazir Ram Singh a huge blow, and he fled to the Sikh army in Gujarat. In 1849, Wazir Ram Singh again took a position on Dal Khadar near Pathankot, where he was betrayed by his Brahmin friend Pahar Chand and was captured by British and banished to Singapore or Rangoon, where he died. Nurpur was the first state to rise in rebellion against the British. Kindly like, share and subscribe to Commission Corner for more Himachal Pradesh General Knowledge exam-oriented series and current affairs of the state. It takes a lot of efforts, make it worth by helping us grow. Thank you.